What's going on? Welcome back to H&H. Another episode is in store for you guys. I'm Ahmad Hicks. That's Henry Lake. And we got to start with one of the most controversial, viral moments that happened this past weekend from the NFL playoffs. Liam Coen, his Jacksonville Jaguars, lost in the playoffs in the first round. And then after the game, a reporter by the name of Lynn Jones came in there. And instead of asking a question, she basically just applauded Liam Coen and comforted him after the loss. He was very emotional, looked like, he took it really personally. And she basically just said, "You're a good coach. You're right for this job. Duval, all this." Everybody took it out of context. Well, I won't say took it out of context. And a lot of old school journalists, older journalists are like, that's not the place for this. We don't do that. I'm kind of brought up under that same umbrella where I'm like, I personally wouldn't have done it. Yeah. But before I give my comments, I want to hear what you have to say about that.
No, I'm with you. I wouldn't have done it as well. But I mean, I just think that everybody got so offended by it, and it's like, I don't understand why you getting offended. Like, people take things differently in terms of like relationships in media. How you cover people. Everybody has a different, I guess, tactic and angle in terms of how they approach it. That's not how I approach things. To me, I didn't think that was the setting to kind of have that message, but who am I to say?
Right.
We've had people in the media before that have been very homerish, and are very supportive. And so that's just how certain people are. So I'm with you. I'm not in my feelings about it. I think that everybody kind of got, upset about how she went about it, and I just don't think that was appropriate. A holier-than-thou type of approach from everybody in media just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, because I think that sometimes you see media members, journalists, myself included, sometimes we ask bad questions, and we take up time from other reporters, and it's like, why did you ask that question? And I just think the climate has changed in how we cover athletes and teams nowadays, how the news gets reported. I mean, you talk about 30 years ago, you had to go to a journalism school. You had to graduate from that said school. You had to be uber talented, and you had to pay your dues before you got to a place like that. So you earned the right to be in those rooms, and you respect those unspoken rules. Whereas now, all you got to do is graduate college and you got a job in a big network, or you don't even have to go to college. You can get paid just because you have 1 million TikTok followers, or you could be a podcaster and get in those same rooms. So the standards of what the old school journalists are changing. Yeah. And so I think times are evolving on how we cover teams. And I think it's up for us to adapt. Now, I'm not saying you go out there and you applaud a coach during a press conference after a game.
Yeah, because I wouldn't do that either.
But I also don't think that you shame someone for doing it and call her up like, that's not the time or place. Okay, well, we don't follow your same journalistic codes anymore. And the journalistic codes that we once had, you don't see anymore because you got national networks that are so one-sided, and it used to be neutral back in the day. And you got sportscasters, former athletes that get on TV and just have one-sided opinions because they're disgruntled about the way their career ended. So I just didn't agree with the backlash towards her.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And we got to understand, too, that when we talk about change, there's a lot of things that happen all the time in press conferences that you look at and you're like, well, I'm not sure if this is the most appropriate thing to happen here and now. Like, for instance, do we get outraged? Do we get upset when little kids are sitting in the laps of coaches or players and this messing up the audio and the sound because you're trying to get sound bites and stuff like that, whatever, and you're asking questions and the kids are messing around? It just
those are the clippable moments. Those are the clippable moments that go viral that everyone loves.
Yes.
And so in a world filled with so much hate,
it's not always appropriate though.
It's not.
Yeah.
But in a world filled with so much hate, are we really mad that this lady Lynn Jones took up 25 seconds to applaud a coach on a great season and then moved on? Like, if you couldn't get your question off within those 6.5 minutes that he was there, 7 minutes, whatever the case was, that's on you as a reporter. Yeah. All right. So speaking of football, obviously the Vikings didn't play in the playoffs. They ended the season on a 5-game winning streak, but head coach Kevin O'Connell and GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah came out basically in their post-season press conference yesterday and said that they want the quarterback position to be competitive, which is what we've all been saying all year long, and which it should have been, last year. But they basically came out and said they wouldn't say J.J. McCarthy is their guy moving forward, but they said basically we expect him to be the guy. He has all the intangibles, but we want to see him go out there, compete, win the job, and hold the job.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. But I also think that unequivocally, one of the comments that came out of yesterday that I look at Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah mentioning and bringing up was off of a question that was asked by my guy Dane Mizutani from the Pioneer Press. He asked him if essentially did they kind of over or underestimate the readiness of JJ to be able to step into being the starting quarterback for this franchise. And he said that they made an assessment, and with their assessment, they made it utilizing incomplete information. And I think that if you're Kwesi, that is something that you should be viewed upon as a negative. Because if you're saying in hindsight that, the information that you have in terms of your evaluation is incomplete, that's not good. That's not good. And so I think with that, I think that he, going into this year, needs JJ to perform at a high level, and he needs the Minnesota Vikings to get back to being a contender and to be a playoff team, or else I think that we're probably looking at Kwesi in the final year of being a part of this organization. When you make comments like that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. We've been on the I won't say we've been on the hot seat, but we've gone out there and had some strong takes about Kwesi's and his ability to draft or inability to draft well. And he definitely has to rectify that this year. J.J. McCarthy has to play better. Hopefully he gets a mental reset. Spoke with him after the game against Green Bay, and I'm just like, what's the offseason plan? Sticking around here? What's the deal? He's getting married in April. He was like, dude, I'm going to California. He was like, I'm getting in the sun. I'm just going to get away for a little while. And that's probably what's best for him, because you think about a guy who got drafted. As soon as you get drafted, you don't go anywhere when you're a rookie. And then you talk about you get injured. So now you got to rehab the whole offseason. You can't go anywhere. And you hear all the naysayers, the doubters, and you try so hard to prove them all right. Sometimes you overthink. Sometimes you just need that mental reset, get away from ball to help you fall back in love and be like, all right, let's get back in this process. So.
Yeah, so I think that he's definitely going to have to he's going to need the team to step up. He's going to need JJ to step up and be, a starting quarterback that's not going to continue to get injured, that's going to play at an extremely high level. Or else I think that Kwesi is going to have some troubles with his job security.
Yeah.
And I also want to just say this, man, because it's so frustrating. But Jordan Addison, and I mean this sincerely, we're tired of it, man. Like, you've been here 3 years. You've been arrested 3 times. And I
well, just twice. He only got a ticket the first time.
Okay. He got a ticket the first time. But we just got way too many infractions, bro. Like, and I don't care about people talking about misdemeanor trespassing. This is a terrible look for you. It's a bad look for the organization. And all you're doing right now is making negative headlines. And so I just don't think that there's any way that we could
justify giving him a lot of money.
There's no way. I mean, and there's just no way. And I feel like we have a George Pickens situation. This is the reason why I say George Pickens. George Pickens was not great in terms of effort on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And he seemed to be a malcontent. He never had any off-the-field stuff, but he just was one of those guys.
Oh, he did. It just didn't hit public news.
Okay. Well, so maybe
my man's used to show up an hour before games, and the rule is you need to be there 2.5, 3 hours
yeah,
before.
But I guess what I'm saying is like anything in terms of
getting in trouble, getting arrested.
Legal,
yeah.
I'm over the Jordan Addison stuff. Like, to me, it's one of two things. You don't get it, or you just don't care.
Disappointing, to say the least. The news about Jordan
Beyond
Addison.
Disappointing.
I saw the news yesterday. I was just like, But before I said anything, made a post, it was like, all right, let's see the details. Like, let's see what really happened. Trespassing at a casino, 340. That's maybe them telling you to get out, and you maybe saying, like, I ain't going nowhere, and then they call the police and get you arrested.
You got to move.
I get it.
You're Jordan Addison. You're not in a position right now to, like, the kids say what? Man, I can't wait to get the bag. No, you're screwing up the bag.
He's definitely fumbling a couple of dollars for sure, because when it comes contract time for any team, they go look at those off-the-field incidents, and then this past season, a couple of drops he had. definitely needs a big bounce back year this year. I feel like coming up. I feel like bounce backs. Like Timberwolves, man. We talked about that tough stretch they were going to go through, facing the Cavaliers, the Spurs, the Rockets. So they split with the Cavaliers. They beat the Spurs in the first game by 1 point, just destroyed the Bucks last night.
Yeah.
And they got the Rockets this Friday, then followed that up with a back-to-back against the Spurs. What are you liking right now from the Wolves?
Everything.
Me too.
This is the best that the Minnesota Timberwolves have played.
Yeah.
This season, this stretch of basketball. I mean, you demolished the Milwaukee Bucks on the road last night.
Had them
30.
booing Giannis and them on their home court.
Rudy's not playing last night.
Johan Berenger, clown.
Yes, Anthony Edwards did not. I mean,
and they still won by 20-something.
I think didn't they win by 30?
They won by 33.
Yeah, that's a what? But this is the thing, and I mentioned it last week. You can see that the chemistry has gotten better.
Yeah.
You can see that the light bulb came on after the Atlanta game.
Yeah.
And I think Anthony Edwards is just like he's a different guy right now.
For sure.
Like I think that Atlanta Hawks game triggered something with this team.
It woke everybody up.
You
got your star leaving the bench with 7 minutes left in the game. One, you should never do that, but that sends a shockwave throughout the rest of the team. It's like he's pissed right now. Like, this is the face of our franchise. Let's get it together before he wants to leave. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. Bones Highland came out in the post-game interview last night and basically said this team is closer than they've ever been. They're really, really close. They're like family. And that's really good for this team. I think the closer you are as a team and more like a family, the further you go in the playoffs. So that's good for them. So we got about a minute and a half left, but we got to touch on the Gophers. Tough loss at the barn last night. I was there. Cade Tyson hit the three to tie the game up. And then Blackwell came down, buried a dagger to help Wisconsin win 78-75. Back-to-back losses for the Gophers on home court by a combined 4 points.
Yeah, they played well.
Mm-hmm.
They were competitive in both games. Both games they could have won. They just weren't able to finish down the stretch. And look, let's be honest. They have no bench. They're very thin.
Yeah.
They're only playing like 7 guys.
They are.
And so with
all their starters logged 30 minutes last night.
Yeah. So we have to understand the situation. And I do think that last night it came down to Braden Carrington. Braden Carrington was the one that killed us. Yeah. The former Gopher. Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. 7 threes last night, 21 points. His last year with the Gophers under Ben Johnson, 17 threes all season.
Yeah. I was just about to say he probably hit more threes last night than he hit.
It's crazy. Yeah. Braden said, look, I'm back on my home court. Y'all about to hear from me. And they heard loud and clear. He had a hell of a game last night. But nonetheless, the Gophers are still showing the right signs. Niko Medved said after the game he's not into moral victories. But what that game and what these last couple of games have told him is they can win with this group. And he still thinks he can get more from them. So we'll see. They got a big road test coming up against Illinois this Saturday. Meanwhile, Dawn Plitzowite, her Gophers take on UCLA, the number 3 ranked team tonight.
And they beat USC.
They did beat USC the other day by 1 point. So I will be at the barn tonight for that game. Going to be an exciting contest. And we'll be right here next week to recap how the weekend went for the Gopher sports teams. And hopefully everything keeps trending in the right direction for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we'll see you all next week.